Apple have given up and they are now resorting to Gemini to run their AI-powered Siri. So this is another iteration on Siri. You know, we saw the big update where it goes, you know, all nice and colorful around the edge. Well, now they're going to update it again, and they're going to use Gemini.
So Apple intelligence is sort of Google intelligence?
Basically.
Yeah, basically. We're using this foundational model from Google for our foundational model, which is kind of like, doesn't mean much because it is their foundational model. How can it be your fun?
So this is my input. This is my take on all this. So I think people are focused on Gemini. Now, Google have an open source AI called Gemma. Gemini is probably built on top of Gemma. So I think in the same way, Apple Intelligence will be built on top of Gemma, and they'll be able to call it whatever they want. So I think people are expecting, you know, again, it just to be like not necessarily a direct copy of Gemini, but I don't think it will be Gemini. I think it won't there will be features that Gemini has that Apple Intelligence won't have. And I think this is prevalent across the industry, right? Apple don't make their own chips. They just help design them. They take a construction layer from TMC or whatever it is, and then they add their own layer on top of it. They're not a manufacturer. Apple don't manufacture anything. They just design. So I don't think this is all that, you know, controversial that they're taking Gemini.
This goes back to this thing that everything is a wrapper.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Changing the layer of abstraction. In this case, you know, Google, I don't know, like Google's model is based on something else, and then it's using either NVIDIA chips or like nowadays some of their chips. So yeah.
The interesting thing is, obviously, Gemma is an open source model. Right, they don't have to pay a cent for it. Apple was planning to pay about $1 billion a year to utilize Google AI. Again, this is all, you know, speculation at this point. I wonder what's going to happen to OpenAI, because obviously right now is that if Siri can't sort your issue, it'll forward it to ChatGPT, which will still fail because the integration is just awful. But where does that leave OpenAI in this mix? Will it still resort to OpenAI because technically under the hood, which you shouldn't really care about, Apple Foundation model is using Gemma or Gemini?
I would be really surprised if they would use Gemini and then if it couldn't do it, send you to OpenAI. I would be really...
But here's the thing, is it Gemini or is it Gemma, which is open source? And looking at the terms and conditions, does it say that you have to, like if you were to use Llama, if you have a certain amount of users, you have to actually say you're using Llama? Whereas I don't know what Google Gemma's terms and conditions are.
Yeah, well,
we don't.
Apple is going to pay $1 billion, which is not a lot. It is.
Well, I don't think any of this article is anything. The only thing factual is that Apple has picked Google. I think the $1 million. We're all speculating at this point. You know what I mean? I think
because Google is paying Apple $20 billion a year to be their default search engine.
Yeah, it's so funny to me how you're going to have like one arm of the company literally taking the other arm of a company to court, yet you've then got handshakes and smiles in other areas. It's crazy. I think they literally just think this is business. This is just business.
Yeah. It is quite funny, like the Samsung news. I mentioned it just to you in private. Like Samsung couldn't buy RAM from Samsung because the company has different arms, and the arm that was selling RAM tries to maximize profit, and they are selling it to server companies and companies that need it for AI, and the mobile division couldn't buy it from the same company, and because
it's wild how all this works. Big A, you've seen the video by Big A where he talks about this new way of acquiring companies.
Oh yeah.
So people don't acquire companies anymore. We first saw it with Meta and Scale AI. They don't acquire Scale AI, but what they do is buy their staff, buy the head honchos, and that by proxy gives them aspects of the company. And he uses the boat analogy where it's like, well, how if you replace the sail and then you replace the kind of mast and then you replace the deck, and then you replace. At what point does it not become a boat anymore? I've forgotten the not analogy, but the theory or the paradox or whatever it's called. But the point is we're in a weird world of business, and I wish there's probably things we're missing out on as business people, but it goes over my head sometimes how businesses operate.
This is part of a larger conversation on my show, Cmd+AI, which we stream live every single week. We discuss the news and all things related to AI in the world of design and web. Catch us next week and join in the banter.